be new ideas, new persons to marshal out the activities of each state. So there's no gainsaying that this election must be credible, this election must be fair. We don't want, even though a lot of them will still resort to litigation, but if the template and they follow the rules as contained in the Electoral Act, the guidelines proclaimed by INEC, we want INEC to follow it to the latter, and we all want all other stakeholders, that's the contestants this time around, to equally play by the books. It should not be a do or die thing. I'm saddened that one of the political parties refused to sign the peace accord, even though it's symbolic. It is high time for us to equally make it part and parcel of the Electoral Act. So if you have found one thing, maybe instigating violence, because it's a trick. Some of them will know that in certain areas they are weak. They want to instigate violence. They want election in that area not to be conducted because they are fearful that they might not get the desired expected results. So INEC and the security agencies, a lot of people have complained bitterly in the past. This is an opportunity for them to right the wrong, for them to start getting some form of credibility and in terms of the perception people have about them.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we can see that Hamzat is waiting. Hamzat is a co-convener, not too young to run movement, and he's the Chief Executive Connected Development Coach, just like I said earlier. You're welcome to Nigeria today, Hamzat.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Nigerians.
Now, Hamzat, now talk to us. Tell us what is the ambience there so far? Because I know you are there. You've been, observing what's been going on. So tell us, what is the situation like?
It's exciting here. Citizens are ready to exercise their right to vote tomorrow. The Nigerian joint security efforts have mobilized their men. On ground is over 35,000 police officers and over 18,000 civil defense personnel. We have the SS, we have the Nigerian Army, who will jointly provide security tomorrow across the 18 local governments of the state. We also see that INEC have distributed sensitive materials to all the local governments. And when we talk to people on the ground, that citizens, they're eager to cast their ballot tomorrow. They're optimistic. And all they want is to ensure that there is free and fair elections and there is safety of lives and property, which has now been guaranteed by our security agency. So everyone is just waiting for 8 a.m. tomorrow for polls to open here in Oyo State.
Okay. Now, still on you, Hamzat, the president has urged for peace and civility during this election. Now, how will you describe the conduct of parties and contestants during the campaigns? Because I know you were there, within this period.
I think that the politicians and the political party have continued to fail the electorate and the Nigerian people, because we know that the apprehension that was caused, the heightened tension, was because of the statement, the incitement, and the hate speech that was said by some of these political parties and candidates. And it's also sad that fake news, misinformation, and disinformation is going round, not only on social media, but on different other platforms by these political parties and their machineries. I'm glad that the president have called for peace, and this has shown leadership, and this has shown non-interference. Even if the president is part of the ruling political party, he has made a statement that depicts fairness and neutrality as the father of the nation. And this is also a call to every political party and the politicians involved. Do not interfere in the electoral mandate, in the constitutional mandate by the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC. Allow INEC do their job and allow the electorate to cast their ballot so that the votes will count, and there will be no need to even seek redress in court. If these processes are free and fair without any interference, then the Nigerian people would be happy. Every other candidate will accept the results, and everyone would move from electoral politics to governance.
Okay, now back to you, Ahmed. He talked about, Hamzat mentioned the heightened tension, hate speech, and the rest of them. And of course, the president has, said, like he said, that shows leadership, good leadership, by saying we want peace, we want civility. How crucial is this to the overall success of Edo governorship election?
It is very crucial, but we need to do much more than what the statement of the president has, what it seeks to convey. You know, human nature by human nature is about consequences for actions, whether negative or positive. There needs to be punishment in form of sanction, deterrent for people that might cause disruption of peace. If we keep assuaging to their morals not to be violent, to conduct their affairs in a peaceful manner, that will not be enough. You need the instrumentality of law in terms of sanction. Previous elections have been concluded. For now, most elections have been concluded, but you have incidences of violence here and there, killings, disruption, and the question that comes to mind is what happened to the perpetrators? Until we make it part of our electoral act that offenders, those people that are wanting, this time around we take them on criminally and equally even in a civil matter. If we are found to either be a beneficiary of violence, of disrupting the system, they should be sanctioned. That aspect of sanctioning people that are deviant, people that are causing mayhem, people that are disrupting the electoral process has not been taken seriously. And the obvious reason is that it turns out those that have perpetrated it end up assuming position of authority. So we need to look inwards. We need to look at the Electoral Act, not only about Edo election. We should go beyond Edo election. People that don't want peaceful election should not be allowed to get to power. There should be consequences. The consequences should be not only about a particular contestant, not only about the party, but it should be a far-reaching consequences. That will not be only about moral suasion either from the president or the governor. Now we now have instrumentality of law. It's not only about having it we have it in our various gamuts of laws, but it has not been implemented. You can do a research how many people have been prosecuted successfully for electoral violence. The number is basically non-existent. So we need to, as a matter of urgency, reform our electoral act, reform our criminal jurisprudence, so that anybody found wanting in any way, instigating, encouraging, or you see, we have a lot of fake news going around. We have a lot of threats. So he mentioned it. So, yes, so it's not something that should be taken lightly. There should be consequences if you instigate, if you prompt it, and even if you participate, either through your supporters. There is not only about arresting. Already, we had a police officer has been killed, and we don't want any of such. We don't want any life to be lost. We want this election to be done in a peaceful manner, but the safest way and the surest way to ensure that is the instrumentality of our laws must be implemented on would-be deviants and detractors.
Thank you very much. Now, Hamza, talk to us. What makes Edo State a major focus this time, apart from being, one of the states for an off-cycle election?
Well, one is important because it serves as a test to INEC to continue to rebuild back public trust and garner trust around the electoral process. Two, it would also inform any electoral, how we inform the electoral law moving forward. If there needs to be any electoral reform, the outcome of a Edo election would inform how civil society approached the National Assembly and also the executive on the needed reform. Also, we know that Ondo is around the corner, and whatever happens in Edo would also serve as how the outcome of a Edo election would be in terms of deployment of the beavers, the functionality of the beavers, security, deployment and mobilization, ANEC ad hoc staff well trained. Is there any logistic glitches? What is the interference of political parties and the candidates? And the overall, what is the atmosphere and how are citizens engaging? And it's really exciting because Edo State, they've collected over 80% of their permanent voters card. So what this also means is we might likely see mass number of people come out tomorrow to cast their ballots. And like the saying goes, Edo know they carry last, and that's why you see the vibrancy, the energy on the ground when you talk to people in Edo State around their civic responsibility and come tomorrow as they hope to cast their ballot.
Okay, still on you, Hamzat, what are some of the challenges you have identified that could, affect the peaceful and civil conduct of this election?
I think first is the misinformation, disinformation, and fake news that is going around. Just a couple of hours ago, a fake news statement was issued that one of the candidates has withdrawn. Another, just less than 30 minutes ago, another statement about one of the candidates, the court has barred one of the candidates from running. And this is just the eve of the election. So this might heighten tension and get their supporters to even move from not just agitation, but also destroying properties or even trying to have a face-off with their opponents. Another challenge that might occur, and we're hoping and praying that there will be no rain tomorrow. We know that some local governments are in the hillside. Some other local governments, INEC has to travel with their materials via the boats. So we're really hoping that there will be no rain tomorrow, even if INEC has assured civil society and people in Edo State that they have contingency plan, but we want a clear atmosphere so that people can come out in mass and cast their ballots. Also is ensuring that there are policemen and security agencies that are unarmed in this in the polling unit, and also have armed security around the perimeters so that nobody can mobilize and attack people who have come out to cast their ballots. So there must be that guarantee of safety of life and property. Also to flag security agencies to be on high alert, because we see that some perpetrators of evil acts are trying to interfere in the process. I know some of our partner colleagues yesterday were almost kidnapped within Edo State. So again, because security have been deployed, so they must man even roadblock and checkpoints across the 18 local governments and also around the border states and communities in Edo State, so that nobody can infiltrate and try to cause mayhem.
What have you seen in terms of security? What have you seen on ground? What have you seen so far?
We've seen personnel of the Nigerian police, the civil defense, the army, the DSS on ground, and the visibility of the security have also provided calm and also confidence electorate. With a lot of electorate say they have that there are a lot of manpower on the ground to guarantee their safety of life and property. So this is good, and this, because again this is an off-cycle election, so it's able that police can mobilize their men from other neighboring states and from the FCT to provide support against tomorrow. But I think what's also important is to continue to see the security beyond the election, because you see most time when there is breakdown of law and order or there is post-election violence, it usually happens once results have started trickling in. They should allow them and ensure that this deployment is here for at least 3 or 4 days after the elections. But again, another concern is the welfare for the security personnel and ensuring that they're well trained and they know their roles under the guidelines of elections.
Thank you very much, Hamzat. Now back to you, Ahmed. In all of these, we have the players who are the political parties, their supporters, and all of that. So, what is the role of the political parties in ensuring, a peaceful conduct of this election that we're talking about in Edo State?
Thank you very much. Political parties have a very important role to play, and they have been failing for a very long period of time. It will shock you to know that in the just earlier concluded election, you have a major political party that did not deploy agents to the polling unit, and the same party goes to court telling the court there are malpractices here and there, and they couldn't produce a single agent in a particular polling unit that witnessed the electoral malpractices. So you see, the bulk of the responsibility falls on the political party. They've now transferred it down to the electorate and the court, because they'll be making arguments in court. Anybody that loses an election, the first thing he knows, he's already running to court. And when he gets to court, where are the evidence? Judges, courts don't make pronouncement based on sentiment, based on what they must have conveyed in the media. They work with facts. You were there at a particular ward, at a particular polling unit, you saw malpractices going on. This is what political party needs to do. They need to educate their electorate. There's nothing stopping political party from educating electorate that record what is happening. Watch how they are doing the recording, so that when you have figures, you'll be able to tell. They should have their situation room, they should have people on ground, so that they will be able to, if they even intend to go to court. And by the time the INEC officials, because we've participated in the election and we saw that we were the one that provided all the assistance for the INEC. He said there was no light, we got generator. He said they needed food, we provided everything, and there was no room for him to manipulate. And so we expect the political parties to be able to educate their agents, to be able to educate their followers on the need. They should know that if there is violence, it will affect their performance. If they ensure that the election is done peacefully, credibly, and they do not allow any room for any manipulation, it will be to their advantage. Then equally, it will play a very important role by the time they eventually get to court. They will be able to gather sufficient evidence. It means they will have agents that were there. They will ask them, you saw it, this was done, this. Then the court will now be disposed favorably to give judgment in that line. But you see, with the recording decimal, the political parties, they are only interested in grabbing power. They share the same ideology. Nobody take time to, most members of political party, they don't pay any registration fee. It's only those at the, maybe the helm of affairs. So we need to have that political, the way it used to be in the First Republic, even in the Second Republic. But now it seems that the electorate majority are detached from the basic political. This is the highest form where you now talk about electioneering. But we hope to see a different story in Edo during the intrigue that is going on. We have a sitting governor that wants his candidate to be there, and we have some very powerful forces. So this is a very, very important election, and we are watching to see what the political parties, the role they will play this time around, because we know they've not been living up to expectation. We expect much more from them in terms of the education, in terms of their conduct before, during, and even after the elections.
Okay, now back to you, Hamzat. Beyond words, what should or what are the people of Edo State expecting from the government at the center for peace to be enthroned, during this election?
Well, I think the people of Edo State do not want any interference. They don't want any use of the so-called federal might, and the president's statement has made it clear that, he's the father of the nation beyond political affiliation. And we hope these words would match action on the ground tomorrow. But the people of Edo State are peaceful. They're very entrepreneurship in spirit, and for them, they want this election to come and go so that they can focus on the continual development of their state, enjoying the dividends of democracy. Because we know that when there's absence of peace, it brings about instability, and no one wants that. And so far, Edo State has remained peaceful, and this election should not change the atmosphere or the environment after the polls, even if candidates are not happy with the outcome. And I think also it's setting bad precedent. Judiciary should not always decide who leads, but because politicians and political parties interfere with the process, try to submerge, and because of their selfish interests. And again, politics is about service. Politics is about leading people, and most importantly, it's one of the best thing humanity can get in terms of ensuring that they represent the collective interests of the people.
Thank you very much, Hamzat. Now, Ahmed, what will be your parting words for the people of Edo at this decisive moment?
For me, I will urge Edo people to vote for their future. At least a lot of us have seen what we are passing through. You should not base your decision on sentiments of tribalism of the particular location where candidate comes from. You should look at the candidate that have demonstrated capacity in the past, that have lived up to expectation, and that will ultimately change their lives. Right now, a lot is going on. Most states have a lot of increment in terms of allocation from the FAC account. So we expect to have candidates that can marshal out programs, policies that will be able to reflect the yearnings and aspirations, so that there will be economic prosperity. People should be able to have good jobs, employment, potable water, and all those basic dividends of democracy.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll wrap up today's episode of Nigeria Today. Thank you to Mr. Ahmed Tanimu Abubakar, a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And we also had Hamzat Lawal, he's a co-convener, Not Too Young to Run movement, and the chief executive, Connected Development Code. Thank you very much for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us. And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch a repeat of these at 10 p.m. today, as well as other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.